Social conservatism. Social conservatism. What is social conservatism? I would say that social conservatism is a set of pro-social proscriptions regarding how humans ought to conduct their lives. I would say that obviously most social conservatives are also politically conservative in other ways, but this is not a necessary condition of being a social conservative. There were social conservatives who supported Marxism, there's social conservatives who supported anarchism and all sorts of radical deviation from traditional right-wing ideologies. But I would broadly say that, social conservatism, and the thing is, people don't need to be explicitly ideologically tied down to social conservatism in order to be a social conservative, it could just be that you're genetically wired / predisposed to have a socially conservative mindset. Even if you never explicitly advocate for a social conservative lifestyle. But yeah, basically, I think everyone pretty much knows what socially conservative values tend to be. Obviously, socially conservative people tend to be religious. They tend to be against hedonism. They tend to value hard work, to value high trust, to value the Protestant work ethic, to be against vanity, to be against audacious bragging, to favor sexual chastity and sexual discipline, to support traditional gender roles. Everyone knows what socially conservative values tend to be. But it's understandable to be a socially conservative person. A lot of people are just wired that way, and it's understandable to aggressively argue in favor of those values when you believe that the world is radically deviating from wholesome socially conservative values. You might think that people are becoming more degenerate, sexually or financially. How gambling is taking a lot of gambling is gaining a lot of influence in the Western world, especially on sites like Kalshi and Polymarket. But if obviously 100 years ago, the United States was 1,000 times more socially conservative than it is now. If you took somebody from 100 years ago and transferred them to the modern day, I think they'd be impressed with the modern technology, but they would be fucking revolted at the level of degeneracy that they would see everywhere. Pornography and interracial couples in advertisements, for instance, would really disturb them. But as understandable as it is to hold socially conservative values, I began to see the advocacy of social conservatism to be sort of a waste of time, and it's just something that's not worth doing, in my opinion. If you look at Andrew Wilson, somebody like Andrew Wilson, all he pretty much does is he basically gets in arguments with promiscuous women who have OnlyFans accounts And I guess he just, like, it's really stupid. He pretty much shames them for being so promiscuous and degenerate. And but like nothing of value is gained from these debates slash conversations. He just likes like moral fagging about how disgusting and degenerate what these young women are doing is. But really, it just popularizes the OnlyFans accounts of these promiscuous young women who debate him on the podcast, on the whatever podcast. Like, all he does is bring more attention, more sexual attention to these OnlyFans women, and it's just a really embarrassing like thing to do, in my opinion. Oh, I'm gonna get into a debate with a bunch of like sluts and tell them like being slutty is bad because of like orthodox presuppositional apologetics, and because you're gonna regret it like nobody cares. Like this is all a waste of time. I'm against the notion that advocating for socially conservative lifestyles moves the needle in any direction at all. I don't think that advocating social conservatism and shaming degenerates is going to make them behave in like wholesome chungus socially conservative ways. Like, it's fucking stupid. I say we let people become trannies. We let people become degenerates. We let people abort their children. We let people become so promiscuous that they get AIDS and monkeypox and all sorts of foul, hopefully deadly diseases, so we can filter the human population. I don't want to restrict degeneracy. I want to allow degeneracy to proliferate. So the people that have predispositions to be inclined towards participating in it can destroy themselves. I don't want the human race to continue on with people who have these innate predispositions. I don't want to live in Saudi Arabia, because if you have a culture where like women who are promiscuous are stoned to death, that doesn't mean that the women who have those instincts don't exist. It just they don't act out on those behaviors because they fear the consequences. Imagine getting married to a creature like that. That's what socially conservative people pretty much advocate for. I want people to fear the consequences of their degenerate predispositions. I want to allow people to act on their degenerate predispositions so they can destroy themselves. I say, let trannies chop their cocks off. They were mentally ill freaks in the first place. I see the argument. I see why one would want to restrict the transitioning of children, because obviously children can be more socially influenced than adults. But as for like adults who are trannies, I say let them chop their cocks off. Let them restrict their own reproduction voluntarily. If you're going to advocate for social conservatism, you're going to have endless things to get mad at. There's infinity degenerate things going on 24/7. You are not going to ban pornography. You're not going to end promiscuity. Just allow it to happen. The people who are engaging in it have predispositions that should make you not want to like them whether they engage in that behavior or not, because if they were to live in a socially conservative culture, they would just not engage in their preferences because they fear the consequences. That's a weird, like... I say just let people filter themselves out. And if you truly believe that behaviors and lifestyles that oppose social conservative values will lead to self-destruction, let your enemies destroy themselves. Stop thinking you're going to convince people to behave in a better fashion through moral faggotry in debating. It's not going to work.